Hello, this will be another Sanji X listener written by me, so I hope you enjoy it. You were being bombarded with work for the past few days. It was overwhelming. You poor thing, doing everything for your other coworkers. It seemed miserable, all the responsibilities you had in the span of 4 days. Sanji, of course, noticed this, but decided not to say anything, just in case it provoked you because of how much stress you must have been under. On the 4th day, you came home a couple hours later than you were supposed to, and you looked really tired and overwhelmed. Sanji, being your husband, finally decided it was too much for his precious princess to handle. So he confronted you. "My love, are you okay? You've been coming home a lot later than usual these past couple days," he stated, not wanting to get too into it just yet. "I'm doing fine, Sanji. Just a bit more work than usual. It's okay," you replied, sounding exhausted. "It's not okay," Sanji replied. "You've been overworking yourself. It's not okay, dear. A little bit more work than usual? I don't think a little bit of extra work would have you coming home 4 hours later than you're supposed to, Lion," he continued, cutting your next words off. You kept your mouth shut as Sanji ranted about you overworking yourself, that you needed some rest, and that he'll be speaking with your boss about giving you a couple days off. Now that was what put you over the edge. You needed to finish your work in order for the other workers who had their day off to be able to relax and not come back to dozens and dozens of papers to write. "Sanji," you said, Sanji shutting up, "I'm not taking a break. I need to finish everything sooner than later. I'll be going upstairs. Good night, love," you continued, serious about what you were saying. He waited until he heard your bedroom door close. Then he put on his coat and left to speak with your boss. Sanji made sure to stop by the grocery store before coming home, as to not raise any suspicion. Either way, he also needed some ingredients for something he was going to have you help him with. He had the perfect idea. He is going to tell you that he was going to make your favorite food. He knew that would convince you to help him, and even if you weren't making your favorite dish together, you would most likely still help him, since it was one of the things he could tell you loved doing most. When he returned home, he knew that you were already asleep. Sanji was relieved that your boss understood where he was coming from when he went to convince him to let you have the next week off. Everything was going according to his plan. He put the groceries in the fridge before walking upstairs and heading to bed with you. He ended up sleeping better, knowing that he would wake up with you next to him. He awoke earlier than you did, in order to set everything up for the day you would be having. He walked downstairs, straight into the kitchen, making sure not to wake you up. He carefully took the ingredients from the fridge and freezer, placing them on the counter. After taking out the necessary ingredients, he took out whatever pots and pans were necessary to cook this food. You woke up quite a while after your husband. Sitting up, you checked the time on your phone, eyes widening when you saw how late it was. You stumbled and changed as fast as you could. You ran downstairs, getting your shoes and coat near the door before hearing Sanji approach you, slipping your coat off your shoulders for you. He leaned forward near your ear, where he whispered that you didn't have to work for the next week, which led you to panic. "Wait, Sanji, what about all the documents I had to send and all the papers I had to—" He cut you off, tilting your head towards him and kissing you as to shush you. He pulled away quickly before hanging your coat and having you remove your shoes. He kissed your cheek chastely before leading you into the kitchen where most of your day was planned. You were surprised. Sanji did this all for you. He genuinely loved and cared about you. You were delighted that so much stress was lifted off your shoulders. The two of you began your day. Sanji helped you cut the ingredients by holding your hands, and you waited for him to finish as you were done with your part of the ingredients. In unison, both you and Sanji grabbed the ingredients and put them to cook. Suddenly, Sanji pinned you against the counter and began kissing you passionately and gently. It turned a bit heated after a couple minutes, but the two of you stopped before it went any further than it already was. The two of you were stopped once you heard the ringing of the alarm the two of you had set to know when the food was done cooking. Sanji removed the food from the stove, making sure none of it spilled over the side. He separated the dish into 2 portions, one for you and one for him. While you two waited for it to cool, he led you to your shared living room. You stood next to your couch, waiting for Sanji to finish putting on whatever he was going to play on your TV. He turned his head and smiled at you before inviting you to the couch with him, where the 2 of you cuddled for a while. "My dear princess, how am I so lucky as to have you be my wife?" he asked you. "I don't know, love," you replied. "You just won my heart." You shrugged your shoulders, smirking at him as he tilted his head, a lopsided smile gracing his features. You looked at the TV as he changed it from something random to music fit for slow dancing. Sanji stood up before turning around and bowing while extending out one of his hands. "May I have this dance?" he asked you, a small smile on his lips. You blinked at his hand before smiling at him. Yes, you may, mi amor," you replied, standing and letting him take your hand as he began leading you in the dance. It was slow dancing, hence the name. You looked up at him, your eyes thanking him for what he did. Sanji immediately understood. "It's no problem, princess. I love you, my love," he replied to you. You simply kissed him, letting him know you loved him too. He kissed you back, stopping your dance momentarily. He stopped before you did, and you looked at him slightly pouting. He smiled at you before fulfilling your wish. He kissed you again and again and again, stopping your dancing altogether. Both of you stopped your little kissing session and looked at each other, slightly scared looks on your faces. You both got the hint before running to the kitchen and stopping in front of your dishes. Looking at them in defeat, you leaned forward and took a bit of the cold dish you had made moments before. You ate the dish, while Sanji looked at you with a concerned look on his face. You swallowed it and looked at Sanji before looking back at the dish. You walked towards Sanji and hugged his torso. You buried your head into his chest. He looked down at you before putting his hands on your waist. "Was it that bad cold, princess?" he asked, sighing. "Mm-hmm," you replied, it being muffled because of your face being buried in his chest. He sighed again, shaking his head in defeat. "I can't believe I let my princess's favorite food get cold."